Hi everyone, welcome to another video lecture. Um, in this video lecture, we're going to talk about random module. And before I start this video, I would ask you to like it if you like it and post your suggestions or your feedback in the comments below. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, so first of all, there are different modules in Python programming, Python, right? So random is one of the modules and it is used to generate random numbers, right? And it has many methods to work with. And in this video lecture, we're going to look at not all the methods from random module, but some important ones, right? So there are a few applications of random numbers because random module offers many methods, and you can use these methods whenever you feel the need to generate random numbers. And what is the use of these random numbers or these methods? So there are many real life applications of random numbers, right? We have random number generators. They're also used for one-time passwords, right? And then they are used for statistical sampling, stats, cryptography. They're also used in many applications where results are not predictable, right? Statistical, right? Yeah. So that these are real life applications of random numbers. And let's move on to, okay, so these are some of the methods, not all the methods, but it has methods like we have seed, we have choice, we also have sample. So we'll look at all these methods. So for all the methods, this is the format or the structure that I've picked. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at name of the method, its function, so basically what it does, the syntax, arguments it takes, inclusive or exclusive range. So what I mean by that is whether the range is going to be inclusive or exclusive, you'll understand that, and whether it deals with integers or float values. Okay, so I'll give you this description of the specific method, and after that we're going to implement it, right? We're going to create a program, or not a program, but like we are going to see how it actually gives the results and how you can actually use it. So the first method that I have picked is random method. Okay, so as its name suggests, it is used to generate a random number, and this number would be a float value between 0.0 and 1.0, right? So this is the range. This is going to be the range. If you remember, we talked here about inclusive or exclusive range, right? So I'll tell you what I mean by that. And this is the syntax for this method, random. That's all you need to write. It does not take any arguments. Okay, now let's talk about the range. So it generates a random float number between 0.0 and 1.0. So it would be one number, right? So when it does that, now if I say 1 to 5, right? So do I mean I'm including 1 and 5 as well, or do I mean it is only going to be 2, 3, and 4, right? So that's what inclusive and exclusive range is all about. So when we are choosing one float number between in this range, are we considering these numbers or not? So this number 0.0, this will be considered. So this is inclusive in the range, and 1.0, this is not inclusive. This is going to be, we will exclude it, right? So this is exclusive, and so this is how it will be. So the number is never going to be 1.0. Okay, it can or cannot be 0.0. All right, so this is what range is, and it deals with float values, of course. Both arguments are float numbers, and the result is also going to be a float number. Now let's create a program. So I'm going to take a new file here. Okay. All right. So random function is in random module, and if you remember video lecture form modules, you'll know you need to import the module first if you really want to use methods inside that module. Okay, and I'm going to give you very simple, very brief illustration, very simple example. Okay, and I know with, if you know the basics, you can easily chalk out the entire program. So import random, right? All right, now I want to generate a random number. So random is the name of the module, and then random is the name of the method. Okay, now I'm going to save it, and I'm going to give it name random module. I'm gonna run it. I hope you can. Screen is yeah, right? So we had range 0.0 to 1.0. So it is 0.4292979, right? And if I run it again, it's going to be a different number. And you can use it inside a loop, of course, right? Let's look at the second method that we have is Ranint. Okay, and this method or this function returns a random integer between given integers. Okay, so this is name of the function, name of the method, Ranint, and what it does is, like its name suggests, this is random, this is integer, so it returns a random integer from where? From given range, given two numbers. And what are these two numbers? These are going to be integers. So this is the syntax for this method, Ranint, integer 1, integer 2, first integer, second integer. So how many arguments are there? Two arguments. Okay, and what about the range? Well, it is inclusive. So if I'm taking, let's say again 1 and 5, so when I use this method, the number result can be 1, it can be 2, 3, 4, or even 5. All right, and it deals with integers, right? Okay, so I'm going to modify this code here. So we are using randint, and I need to I'm gonna use 1 and 5. Okay, I'll save it and I'm gonna run it. So 3, and I'll run it again. We have 5, right? So inclusive, 5, right? Let's look at the third method. We have rand range, right? So this method returns one integer, okay? And the syntax for this method is rand range, name of the function, name of the method, and then we have how many arguments? 3 arguments, okay? And let's talk about range now. So this is the syntax for this method, rand range. This is your starting point, or your integer, starting integer, right? The first integer. This is going to be stop integer, and um, this is your step size, or your um, increment value, and inclusive exclusive. So this one, start, is inclusive, it will be included, and stop is not going to be included, right? And then the start value and increment or step size is also has, they both have default values. Start default value, if you don't provide any value here, it will be 0. And similarly, if you this is optional step size. If you're using only 2 arguments, then it will by default consider step size to be 1. Now what I mean by that, is this is rand, it was rand range. So let's say I have 1 and 10, okay? Now this is start, inclusive, exclusive, and this is your default is 1. So if you do not provide any value here, if I don't use third argument here, it is going to have by default increment the values by 1. Okay, now what I mean by that is it will create, so in the back end a range will be created with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay, and when you run the method, run the function, one of the numbers will be selected, right? And if I, let's say I have 3 here, so 1 is the starting value, 10 is going to be the last, and so it will be excluded, and 3 is the step size. So what I mean by that is in the back end a range will be created, so it will be 1, 4, 7, that's all, because 7 plus 3 would be 10, and 10 will be excluded, right? So if I provide step size 3, one of these numbers are going to be the result. Okay, so that's what it is, and it deals with integers, of course. Now let's create a program here with rand range. So I'm going to use 1, 10, and this is, I'm not going to use third argument. I'm going to run the module, so we have 5. Okay, now I'm going to use this third argument as 3 is the step size. So like I told you, it would be either 1, 4 or 7, right? Let me run it again. Okay, again it's 1. So numbers are random. Okay, it's again 1, It can be 4 or 7, right? I hope you got the idea. Okay, next we have choice choice method, and what it does is it returns something from given non-empty sequence. So we have, what is a sequence? We have list, we have string, we have tuples, right? And it should be non-empty. And this is the syntax, choice, syntax, sequence, and you will get the result. So let me use a sequence here. Let's say my sequence is list, and I have 3 values here. Name of the list is list 1. Because I can't use list. List is a keyword. So I put 1 here. It becomes a variable now. And choice. Alright, save it, run it, and it will choose one number for you. It is choosing 1. 3. Alright, yeah, okay. That's how choice works. And you can also use it with string. So let me use a string here. Let's say S1 and Python programming. And here I'm going to use S1, save it, run it, H. Okay, so that's how you can use it. Then we have shuffle, and name of the method is shuffle, and its function is to reorder the elements of the sequence. Now sequence is again your list, your tuple, or your string, and same syntax is very simple, shuffle the sequence. Okay, so okay, I will need a sequence here. So let's say I have a list, again list 1, and it has 2, 5, 8, 6, 8, 7. This could be 9 maybe. And then I'm gonna list 1. Okay. Let me show you. This is our first original list. Then we shuffle it, and then we'll print it again. Save it, run it. So this is the original string to list 2, 5, 8, 6, 9, 7, and then we shuffle it. Then we have 2, 7, 6, 8, 5, 9. Okay, this is return type. I'll explain this concept as well, why it is returning none here, because I might have used print function. Yeah, save it and run it. Okay, it will shuffle it. That's all. That's what it does. Then we have sample. All right, so what it does is, again we are dealing with a sequence, and it will return a sample from the given sequence. Sequence is again your list, tuple, string, or it could be a set also. And this is the syntax for this method. Sample, sequence, and then size of the sample. this is number of items that you want. Okay, so I'm going to use this sequence list, and or maybe I should use a string because I haven't used that. I'll say S1, then I'm gonna write programming. Function name is sample, right? S1, and I want 3 elements. Okay, so I need to print the result, save it, and then run it. So we have 3 randomly selected values, and if I run it again, it would be different, right? All right, then we have uniform method, and this method is used to return a float value between given integers. So we're dealing with float values, we're also dealing with integers here, and it also has its syntax is very simple. It's uniform xy. There are 2 arguments. Let's talk about the range, whether it is inclusive or exclusive, right? And I really hope that since I'm having only very simple examples, simple illustrations, I am really hoping that you actually can chalk out the program out of this knowledge. Okay, so let's talk about the range. Uniform xy, so we have 2 integers here. This one is inclusive and this is exclusive. So what it does is it will return a float value between these 2 integers. Okay, and the float value, because this is exclusive and this is inclusive, so it could be x, right? It could be this value as well. Yeah, it deals with the all right, so if it is 1 and 5, it will never take 5. Okay, it might take 1, but then it would be 1.0. Yeah, because it's going to be float value. So if this is 1, so it's going to be a 1.0, yeah, 1.0, right? Okay, so if let's say the returned value, float value is r, it is going to be such that it is less than y, and it could be equal to x, but it will always be greater than x, right? It can be equal to x or greater than x. So that's what you need to remember here. Let's see how you can use it. So we have uniform. Now I need to have 2 values here, 2 integers here, and yeah. I'll take 1 and 5. Save it. Run it. Okay. Yeah. You see? 1.954272. Okay. I'll run it again. Yeah. Right. So let me see. Yeah, because it can be equal to this value as well. So it could be, I can pick this initial value, right? Yeah. So your arguments are two integers or this inclusive one, because this one is going to be excluded, and this inclusive one can be integer or float value, right? Yeah. Here we have arguments two integers, or it could be float value. As you saw, even if I have floating point value here, result will still be there. And the reason behind that, because this result is going to be, it could or could not be equal to this value, starting value, right? Okay, this one would be the last method for this lecture, not for the module. It's called seed, and it is used to set the initial value for the function. Now, what is a seed? A plant. What does a seed do, right? If you want to grow a plant, so generating these values, we are actually generating only one value here, but when you use random number generators, you actually run these methods inside loops, right? So there are iterations over iterations. So right, so seed, what seed does is it will set the initial value for the method, right? Otherwise, these methods are picking random values from the very beginning, right? And this is the syntax for this method seed. Number of arguments 1. Let me show you what I mean by that. So let's see, we have, as you know, we have a random method, right? If I run it, this is the random number that we get. Okay, I'll run this method again. This time we get a different random number. All right, now I'm gonna use seed function, seed method, and this method is also part of this random module, so we have to use random dot seed. Where is seed? Here we have it. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's say value is going to be 10, right? And then I'm gonna use this statement after this. Now what it does is, seed, what it does is, it sets the initial value for the function, for the method, right? So before running this random method, I'm using seed function here, seed method here, and it is going to set the initial value as 10. Okay, so let me run it. When I wasn't using seed and we executed this program, we got different values, right? And this time I used seed method with seed 10 as seed value. So this is the result from random method. Now let me run it again. Right? Can you see the difference? So these two values, this one and this one. How did I get these two values? Well, I executed this code with this statement only, and I wasn't using seed. So every time I execute this statement, it picks random values, but this time I'm using seed. So initial value has already been set, and since it has already been set, every time I run it, every time I run this function, same value has been set. So as a result, I'm gonna get the same value. See, both the values are the same. So this is how we use seed function. This is part of the reason why we use seed function. It will generate the same value over and over and over again. So yeah, this is it for this video lecture, and in the next video lecture, because I remember I also need to continue with my MySQL tutorial, and for that I need to install MySQL. So in the next video lecture, we're going to install it, we're going to connect to the database and work with a few commands. I've been pretty busy um, the last couple of days, so I wasn't able to upload. So yeah, if you have any doubts, post them in the comments below. If you have any suggestion or feedback, post them in the comments. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you in the next video lecture. Till then, take care.